You're not paying for the races for the shirts.
This?
You're doing it for
They're
the
using the
game.
free version of Canva to decide what shirt they're gonna. So embarrassed for you.
That's how you do it. You don't even have the paid version. You only have the extra premium layouts.
That's what I'm saying. And welcome to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission to make fitness more human, snarks sold separately. I'm Coach Amanda, and I'm joined as always by my co-host,
Coach Nick. I am jacked, guys. We are excited. We are happy to have you here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great episode. I know I say it every time, and I mean it every time, but I also mean it tonight. Because we're talking about gaining weight to thrive in running, life, and fitness. And this topic is brought to you by our co-host here, Amanda, who had this wonderful idea. And we're gonna dive into it and everything about it, from marathoning to life to just how to treat your body right. Isn't that right, Amanda K?
Riggedy right. Before I talk a little bit about why this topic feels very relevant right now, it's always relevant, but right now, why don't you, Coach Nick, fill us in on how your week was?
Gosh, it's been a week. Let's start. We're gonna go backwards. How about that? That's fun.
Feels very old.
My kids love April.
Yep.
I know. We're doing it. My kids love April Fool's Day. I learned today, and when we came home, they took all the silverware out of the drawers and threw it in a garbage bag and hid it outside, and we didn't find it for 30 minutes.
That's a severe prank. That's like a...
I know. They were so happy. They were like jumping up and laughing, like, got you. And we're like, you did. Where's the silverware? Because we need it to cook this meal. Yeah, they put it, thank God they put it in a bag and brought it outside and didn't just throw it in the dirt.
Truly, that would make me irate. I wouldn't have kids for that reason alone.
I have to watch all the silverware. So kudos to the kids for that one extra step that just saved the day. But they love April Fool's Day. I think there's more pranks coming later. But for now, yeah, that was fun. We ran a race this weekend.
And by we did. We
ran
a race. Yep.
Yeah, me.
Yep.
I ran a race. A couple of my athletes, co-coach of ours at Running Explained, shout out Mick, was there. It was a crew. It was fun. I've run Love Run twice. Love it. It's a really good race. If you haven't done it, check it out. East Coasters. I wouldn't travel across the country for it. But if you're here,
if you're within driving distance, great. If not worth it.
But a lot of races have that. There's a lot of races that you just love because you're near it, but you're not going to get on a plane and fly 3,000 miles to do. So it's good. It's fun. Don't love Philly. The drive up was easy until you reach the city. For those of you who've driven in Philadelphia, it is.
You think we're going to get some hate mail for what you just said?
I don't know, a tiny bit, but I think if you're there, and you're driving,
if you want me to cancel it out, I will. Staten Island. If you're in the chat, it's not worth it. You're not worth it. I'm just kidding. Okay.
But yeah, I'm a big fan. I like races, right? Of the race, of the weekend. I like getting my athletes together. So we met up. We went to the expo. We did a pre-race dinner. We talked about our pre-race rituals, but I like a pre-race beer.
Joe, I saw that.
So had one of those. It was delicious. The expo ran out of safety pins, which became an epidemic.
Feels like
pandemic. But they didn't tell you they ran out. See, here's the thing.
That's very unsafe of them.
And I picked my bag and I just walked away, and I didn't think of looking for safety pins, because either they say here, get 4 pins over here from this pin tray, or you just walk away assuming pins are in the bag. It's one or the other. It has to be. Because if they're not sitting there on the counter, then my assumption is in their bag, because
that's
one or the other, right? So this has never happened before, but it didn't matter because everyone was out. Because later on, so I had no safety pins. My backup safety pins I had used, because I always keep 4 in my bag. And then I was walking around the city and I was going to CVS's, and I asked the staff, I'm like, "Oh, do you have safety pins?" He's like, "Absolutely not." He's like, "You're the 40th runners come in. We are out across the entire city." And I was like, the expo just didn't have them, because it had to be the case, because otherwise
New York would never.
Yeah,
would never. Just so you know, in case there's a moment, okay? I need you to know that because I'm me, we're gonna have a casualty, but it's gonna be worth it. I just have an unhinged stack of bibs that I've ran races in, and all the pins are still attached. So in case,
Yeah. Next time I'll just drive up from Philly to grab.
Just dropped. It's okay.
But it never happened. I always have 4 safety pins in my bag, so I'm gonna restock. But it was just like, so how I got the problem solved is I went to the front desk.
So
and
wait. You have 2 daughters.
Go.
To my knowledge.
Yep.
And to your knowledge,
Yep.
2 daughters. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
2 daughters and a wife, a whole wife. You don't have any safety pins in the house?
So I'm at the house, right?
Okay,
so
sorry. I'm blacking out. I'm so upset.
So, and again, I have 4 usually in my backpack, except for the one time that a race didn't give out bibs or pins and didn't have any. So I solved the problem by being resourceful. I went to the front desk and they're like, well, we don't have safety pins, but we got this sewing kit. And in the sewing kit was 1 safety pin. So they gave me 4 sewing kits and I got 4 safety pins. And that's how I figured it out.
You are really
shout out
oriented.
Hotel staff for getting me those 4 safety pins. But then I lost those 4 at dinner, and I had to make Mick go back and ask for 4
That's
more.
fine. She works for the company now.
We got it.
I feel like that's...
Yeah, we got it done, but it was very funny when I left dinner, and I was like, oh, they're not in my pocket anymore, because I took them at dinner to show everyone the story, and then, of course, dropped them on the floor probably, and they're still there. So anyway, long story short, safety pins. But we also did a little fun, if you didn't see, pre-race glitter party.
That was very fun.
Yeah. Got some glitter on my arm. First time. Mick loves the glitter. Vicky participated. Friend of the podcast, former guest, soon to be future guest again. Vicky, Train Smart Run Strong, was part of the glitter crew. Also, my hotel room turned into basically the glitter factory because it was everywhere. It was all over the floor, all over tables, all over the sink. It was everywhere. I am shocked there's not a glitter charge on my hotel bill at this point because...
No,
there was
glitter is not something that I was allowed to touch, play with, or have until I was out of the house because my parents were tyrants. They were like anti-glitter.
But so we got through. We got glitter. We ran the race. I ran with Mick. I was just doing it for my last long run. Well, not my last, but my last big one before Boston. Well, I felt good. And then finished, and we hung out, and then we went home, and it was...
We had a great time.
It was great. I'm enjoying racing this year. I have, during the last few years, I've raced a lot less. And I'm enjoying grabbing some friends and running with them or just running my own race and just being in a race environment again. So it's been fun. And then, of course, last night, throwback to season 1, the frogs are back. So I have a mating season again in my backyard. So this will continue in season 2 because they are back.
So excited for you.
I think so. I don't know. But we're here. And that was my wonderful week. How about your week?
I had a good week. What did I do exactly? Give me a second.
Oh.
What did I do?
You just look at the notes you wrote in the document.
What did you write in the document?
No, I'm saying you could just reference your notes you put in the document.
I didn't put anything in the document, which is why, but that's what you're trying to say?
Is it big?
What did I... Okay, I have a top secret. It literally is top secret. I'm not allowed to talk about it.
I don't even know it.
Program that I'm so excited to launch at the end of April. I'm partnering with a very large media company and publication, and I was hired also as a model to demo the program. And so that put me in my feels last week.
Should we all guess what the company is?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, I guess. I have a guess, so I'm out.
Okay, so it's obviously Fox News. I am the laugh that drowns out. It's always the best. So it will come out at the end of April. Maybe I'll talk about it behind a paywall. So if you're not already subscribed to Patreon.
Ooh, that's where the secrets are. They're in Amanda's
kidding.
hair.
Just know that I'll be they're in my buns. Just know that I will. Cindy listens to the podcast, so I am partnering with the one and only Cindy Kusma on this program, and I couldn't be more delighted. You can go back in the pod and listen to Cindy. And if you've ever picked up an issue of Runner's World, you've seen Cindy's name. Like, come on now.
She's lovely. Love her articles.
She's
Big
the
fan.
professionally speaking the tits. Okay. What else? And just had like a normal week. Just really thriving in my 3-day weekends of doing as little as possible and interacting with as few as possible.
Love 3-day weekends. 4-day weekends would be even better.
Don't tempt me with a good time. I think I cap out at 3. I've decided.
I know. I get bored after 3 days. But sounds like a great week. We're excited for your top secret, super secret program that we are all going to guess in your DMs what it is for the next couple weeks.
Yep.
So
that's a good idea.
All comments are good for business, right? All feedback's great.
Not really. All right, so let's are you ready to talk the talk? Did you want to say anything else before we get a little serious?
No, maybe. I liked your comment about creatine because I can't figure out how to dissolve it yet.
All right, so Nick has literally asked me. You've asked me about creatine several times.
Yeah.
Let me give y'all a little background, okay? So creatine, I've been taking creatine for a long time because the science, it's one of the only supplements that has been backed by science for a long time. And the science only continues to evolve on it being a beneficial supplement. And it's super, super accessible. It's very inexpensive. And now it's very trendy. So more and more people are taking creatine. We love it.
Vitamin C.
Nope. That's not the...
That's what...
Anyway, so creatine is it should be, unless you purchase it flavored, it's a tasteless product. All supplements, right? Reach out to your sports RD of choice. Make sure that they work for you. Disclaimer. But it is tasteless. And I like to put it in my post-workout, like protein carb recovery shake. You can put it in anything. The goal is to take it consistently for its benefits that not only impact your body, your power, your endurance, but also has a ton of cognitive benefits, which is also why.
And your good looks. It makes me look.
Yeah. No, it's definitely good for that. That's also why my mom takes it. So, not for her good looks, but for the cognitive benefits. Anyway, I digress. Nick keeps on asking like how to take it, and I keep on telling him, but then he like goes to threads.
Yeah, I gotta get feedback from the people.
Don't get feedback from the people, okay? Because some people are like,
we're good. Well, sometimes I don't have the ability to have a smoothie. Like I take it in the morning, I gotta run. I could make a smoothie. I don't have time because I get up late. So I just drop in water, but it just wasn't dissolving. So yes, I will put it in more dissolvable.
Do you drink anything during the day that isn't your morning glass of water?
I could have a coffee. Yes. Can I drop in the coffee? And it'll dissolve because it's hot. Look at that.
Yeah, you can do that. You know what?
Oh, I drink iced coffee though.
You can also do that. I put it in my iced. Today I had it in my iced banana French toast protein shake.
Ooh, that sounds really good. We need to drop that recipe in the DM.
Here's the recipe. Go online and order BPN protein powder. Add milk and a scoop of creatine and put it in a water bottle. One that keeps things cold.
Why aren't you selling this? Sell this recipe on your website and do what everyone does. The recipe, you put the recipe, but you put 10,000 words before the recipe of your entire life story of like how you grew up. And then you know, the jump to recipe.
Literally just tell me how to make the lasagna. Anyway. I don't care. I don't care, Jerry.
Now. I don't. This is our grievance.
All right.
The recipe's online. That's my grievance. That's that bullshit. Just tell us the recipe.
I'm done. I'm so done.
We're done. Let's move on to wherever we are. Who knows? We're off.
Okay, you're right. So anyway, back to the topic. So our topic tonight, and by tonight I mean today, whenever you're listening to this, is about gaining weight to thrive in running, exercise, and in your life. right? And this came up in a few chats that I've had with my clients, runners and non-runners, fitness enthusiasts, and the like, about comments from other people related to either their weight gain or assumptions made about the relationship between food, weight, and exercise. So, specifically, one of my athletes who is preparing for the Boston Marathon had shared with her colleagues on at a meeting last week that she would be running it because they didn't know that she was going to be running it. And one of the colleagues said to her, "You must be losing weight, right? Because you're training for a marathon." Mind you, that my athlete is somebody who has a history of eating disorders and disordered eating. And her, like many runners who have this history and who engage in training for whether it's a marathon, half marathon, or just being more active, they actually find that if they're doing it right, they tend to need to eat more, whether they were unintentionally or intentionally underfueling. So what's been really beautiful about working with her is that she has found that through eating more, she's actually performed better, she's recovered better. And so it's this wonderful thing. But when she shared this story with me, it just broke my heart because it broke her. She thought to herself, like, am I doing something wrong if I'm not losing weight? Like, should I be losing weight? And am I countering all that by eating more to fuel my performance? And it really put her in a state,
Yeah.
which was hard to come out of for her. Those feelings are so valid, especially because there's just so much misinformation about how to properly fuel for exercise. And I'm actually sitting here right now because I just got this in the mail.
Look what I got. Shout out to former guest of the pod, Kylie Van Horn.
Cannot wait to dive into this. So anyway, if you're not watching, you're listening, we're holding up
Oh yeah.
We're holding up Practical Fueling for Endurance Athletes, your nutrition guide for optimal performance. And is written by Kylie Van Horn, friend of the pod, friend of ours, sports registered dietitian, and we are just so happy to have it in both mine and Coach Nick's possession to level up our individual fueling, but also how we support our athletes, right? Okay.
Yep. And that's a great segue because while we're talking about all this, one of the things I want to make sure everyone knows is when you are running, when you're chasing your goals, whatever you're doing, you are an athlete.
Yes. Treat yourself like one.
Stop calling yourself someone. Treat yourself. Treat yourself. Definition of an athlete: a person who is trained or skilled in exercises, sports, or games requiring physical strength, agility, or stamina. The last one seems to really resonate with being a runner. They all do, but stamina, strength, agility, all running related things. So too often I hear runners say, okay, well, I run this time, so I'm not really a runner. I'm not really an athlete. I just run. You're an athlete. You need to treat yourself that way. You need to support yourself that way. You need to act that way. When you tell yourself that you're an athlete, when you remind yourself, when you speak those words, you start putting more weight to the decisions you make around the sport you're in. You will eat more, you'll fuel
sleep
more, you'll take care of your body more, you'll sleep more, you'll do all the little things because you're an athlete. When instead of, and Steve Magnus talks about this all the time, it's when people try and act like they're not trying. So then it doesn't feel hard, but what always fails because then you're not trying and you're not meeting the expectations. You have a mismatch of like what it should hurt and what it isn't. But like so often when people have something scary in their lives in front of them, you pretend like I'm not an athlete. I'm not a runner. I'm not a real runner. You just say that. And when you do that, you kind of take away the value of what you're doing. You take away the ability to fuel it, to take it seriously in your life, right? So for all this, all our audience, anyone who runs, anyone who does any sport, anything that meets that definition, you are an athlete. Treat yourself that way.
Here. So now that we have was it Merriam-Webster?
No, that was I don't know. Yeah, it's Webster, the one from the TV show.
Good Lord. Okay, so back to business. Let's just start by saying that weight gain during a training cycle, let's use marathon as an example. I would say even half marathon, depending on the person, is normal. It's normal. And for many of us, it's encouraged because we need to not only be eating, we need to be eating enough. And oftentimes we need to be eating more than enough. This may feel uncomfortable at first. I could speak on behalf of myself and the folks I coach. It is normal for your body to go through a transition just like it does when you are training your body in whatever fitness modality, whether that's running or you're lifting more, for you to, I just lost my thought, for you to be hungrier. It's also normal for once you start fueling your body correctly and fueling during longer sessions, let's say it's a long run, let's say it's not, let's say it's a 60-minute, let's say it's a 40-minute, let's just say you're fueling, for you to also not be hungry after those sessions. So both of those things are normal, and you still need to eat and you still need to take care of yourself. Make sure to reference episodes that we've done with registered dietitians. We've had a few wonderful sports RDs on already. I think we've had 1, 2, 3, 4. 4? Have we had 4 on? Maybe. I think so. Kylie and Stevie. We've had Claire and Holly and Kelsey. That's 5.
Oh,
all the experts. Okay, so you can pause this and go back to any of their episodes to listen to what they have to say specifically. We're here to speak on behalf of 2 coaches who give guidance to our athletes. And so first things first, I just wanted to say that it was normal.
So normal. And it's I think a lot where the confusion lies is a lot of people start running as one of the reasons is to lose weight. It's definitely something that people say very often. Why do you start running? Lose weight, or my own time, or those are like, I just love sports. I love inflicting pain on myself. One of those 3, right? Like, and so when people start for a reason of losing weight, and then we gravitate towards the distance that seems to be the most popular for everyone because it's air quotes to do it air quotes the longest, then it means that sometimes people get this thing in their mind of how they need to I'm wanting to lose weight and I'm doing this long distance race, so I'm going to lose weight. And then they get a big mismatch there because if you are losing weight when you're running a marathon, it's probably a big red flag. I mean, it's not probably, it is a big red flag, most likely, that something, you aren't fueling your body enough and that danger is coming because you need to take care of yourself. You need to eat because of all the mileage you're doing, which is usually more than your normal training if you're doing it right, and so just thinking about long runs, like, you're going to go out for 3 hours and you're going to knock down 60 to 80 grams of carbs an hour over 3 hours. So you're going to take 240 grams of carbs, and then you're going to spend the rest of the day trying to put all those carbs back because your body just used up a ton, because those 240 aren't enough to take care of that long run. During the week, you're going to do what is like a medium long run becomes so much longer than you're used to, and you're going to need to also fuel around that run. And then you're going to do this for 16 to 20 weeks, week after week, and your body is going to need this stuff to support itself. And so it is very common, like Amanda said, to gain weight, but there is this mismatch when you join running and all of a sudden you're just jumping to the marathon because it's the hot distance, that you think, oh, well, I'm going to lose weight, because that was my goal of being here.
Yeah, I think that the other thing when you're talking about normalizing this conversation around eating enough food and your body may change is that you may be in circles where, let's say it's a run club, where folks are not treating their body like athletes. And they may look at you sideways because you're fueling correctly. You listen to the pod, you curate your feed to promote practical fueling for endurance athletes and practical fueling in general, right? As Kylie says. So it's also normal for you to not be in circles that are talking about this because they are not experts. And you need to rely on those who work with, Nick and I have worked with, for me, hundreds of runners and fitness enthusiasts. For Nick, probably millions.
101 at least.
Millions he's worked with. And 98% of them came to us and they were like, is this normal? Because it's just not the messaging that is shared in these circles. And the answer is always yes.
And like times have changed, right? So I ran in college back in 2000. My long runs were like not long, right? Maybe 8 to 10 miles at that
Not
time.
long for you.
And then no, sorry, not long, but not long for the athlete I am now
True.
versus then, right? Like my longest race was 10K on a track.
And he ran it in 12
anyway,
minutes.
Like 31. But anyway, then then I said, but then I came back and then there wasn't as much research out there about what to fuel. Like there was one gel, I always say this, it was Goo. It was the only one I really knew of in 2011 when I started running again. And like the research around how much you're supposed to take in, it was like you obviously need to fuel, but it wasn't like, oh, here's the formula and here's how much you take. And don't forget your electrolytes and your water and your salt tabs. And like it wasn't all this stuff, right? So there's a period where I did a lot of long runs with friends who wouldn't take a gel for a 20-mile long run. And they'd be like, oh, I'm fine. What matters? Wouldn't take water. I'm fine. What does it matter? They were wrong, but we knew somewhat. They just felt their body did fine without it. And there wasn't as much in your face research to tell you absolutely don't.
Right.
Then spinning forward, there are still a lot of people who either take that mentality from either they were around or know people who ran at that time and like, push that, oh, don't fuel. It's, treat your body less so you can do more. Like, you want to suffer more to do better. And there's still that mentality around, but you show up at a run club or you show up at a group run and you're the one with 10 gels and everyone else has 2 for a 20-mile run. It feels weird to be eating every 20 minutes when no one else is, right? And so it can feel hard in those situations where, you know you're doing right for you, but no one else is. And they think they're doing right or they don't want to, or who knows their reasoning. So sometimes those kind of runs can make you feel bad. I make sure when I go with my athletes that I am fueling as much or more than them to show them that like this matters. I'm never going to go into a run and be like, oh, I don't need a gel. I don't need water. I don't need this. I want to be there with them to show them like I'm doing it too. And like, even though I'm doing a workout with you and it's maybe not my workout pace, I'm still going to fuel my body because I'm still going to be out here for 2 hours and my body's going to use up probably less energy than yours because of the zone I'm in, but it's still going to use up energy and it needs to be fueled properly. So, I think that it's hard when you're in these situations where people are not fueling. And that's literally everything, right? It's hard when you're with your group of friends and you eat a dinner and they eat, a rice cake. And so this exists in every aspect of life. But, at the end of the day, we go back to point 1 that we said here. You are an athlete. And that means following the science, following the research, and fueling your body like an athlete, even when the other athletes there do not, because you know what you need.
You know what you need, and you still don't like. The other part of this is what is happening to your body beneath the surface. You may feel good or good enough to not fuel a run. You may feel good enough to just have a sweet green salad with 3 pieces of chicken after your workout. But what is happening beneath the surface, your muscles, your bones, your tendons, you are directly impacting how quickly you recover, which will also mean how quickly your body can be fit again for your next session. On top of that, like beyond performance, there are critical years for your bone mineral density to be at its peak, right? So it's like, we know that in your 20s, you're at your peak bone mineral density, your peak bone mass. And then in your 30s, you're basically maintaining it as long as you aren't somebody who was in low energy availability or had disordered behaviors when you were in your teens and 20s, or if you have another autoimmune chronic illness that lowers your bone mass. For some of us, myself included, I had very low bone mineral density because of the actions that I took when I was younger. And if I can share anything with anyone who is in their 20s, even their early 30s right now, you're playing with fire every time you decide to not take care of yourself by ways of nourishing your body. I think that the statistics now, I believe the really wonderful resource, Fed Collaborative, shared that I believe it's 3 days of being in low energy availability. That means you're fucking around and finding out for just 3 days of being low carb can impact you on a cellular level. That's huge. Just 3 days of you deciding to go on a crash diet because of some stupid shit.
Yeah.
It's serious.
Yeah. No, and I was going back to your point about long runs and fueling and just runs in general. You know, the one thing I always like to point out to the community and just runners and just athletes is like, you know, you do your long run on a Saturday and maybe you don't like I call a long run starts the day before. When you're, if it gets up in distance, it starts the day before when how you carbo load your dinner, the day morning of what you eat for breakfast, the long run, how you fuel, and how you take care of afterwards. The long run doesn't end until you start the recovery. But how many times have you or we or any of you listening, you know, showing up the next day on a Sunday and all of a sudden you had a perfect training, like everything's fine. All of a sudden there's an injury out of nowhere. Like this happens, and it always happens after a long run where someone's like, oh, well, I really couldn't fuel this one, or like I didn't have a good dinner the day before, and like I couldn't eat afterwards because I was running around, and like all of a sudden injury just pops up. These things aren't, it's just, they're just magic. It's not just, oh, this is happening for the reasons you're neglecting, right? And so I'm not saying every single time you don't fuel a long run, you're gonna have an injury the next day, but like when you start connecting these dots, you start seeing it. It's always in the training log. And if you, like my athletes do, they put their fueling in their training log. It's all there. We know what happened. We know what's going on. So, you know, there are examples that show you why you're getting injured, why things are going wrong, why things are happening. And they're around fueling if you look hard enough. And most of the time people ignore that stuff, don't notice it, just think they had, oh, I just got a random injury the next day, probably because I did a long run. No, you can handle a long run. You're training for a marathon. Like, it's probably because you didn't fuel right or other things.
Yes. That leads us to kind of fueling your body, eating enough for your activity level, right? Throughout the week is crucial. Not just the day before a long run, not just the night before a speed workout, throughout the week, including rest days, including times of injury. In fact, we did an episode with Claire on injury nutrition, and definitely want to listen to that. Even if you are not injured, there's a ton of takeaways from that episode that you should be applying to your life now. Even as an uninjured athlete.
Yeah, but when you're a coach, also when you have injured athletes, one of the best things you can do for them is reach out and just check in, but also not just check in, make sure they're eating. Like remind them that like, hey, an injured athlete still has that word athlete in it, which means you still need to fuel like you're an athlete, which because it helps your recovery. If you starve your body of the energy it needs while your body's trying to heal an injury, and then you're wondering why it's taking so long to heal, because you're not giving your body any energy because you're not exercising, well, you just created a circle that can't be completed because you're breaking it every time. So like, you know, you need to remember these things that yes, you're injured, but your body needs now energy more than ever to heal this injury, and taking it away is just going to make this thing last longer. So often when runners aren't exercising, or they, you know, do a cross training sandwich and then they don't then they think it's not running, so then they don't fuel enough to take care of the 90 minutes they did on the, you know, Stairmaster and the 2 hours aqua jogging and then the 6 mile walk and all that. And they're like, oh, well, you know, it's probably like 3 miles of running. So I'll have a, you know, a rice cake and a bar.
You just make up math.
No, like, you know, and also like have a plan. Like, you know, we don't have to, one of the best things Kylie shared with me, and I think it's everywhere, is it's like an athlete's plate, and I think it's put out by like the Olympic Training Committee Center. Definitely didn't say that right, but whatever. Well, I can reference it, but it just shows you like how to treat long run day, like easy days,
right. The percentage of your plate
days,
that should be in each category: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, colors.
And you don't even have to, like, if you don't want, or you don't have to go out here and like make sure it's 50%, 20, like, but just have an idea of like, hey, I'm an easy day, I need more carbs, or you know, I have a long run day, 50% of my, after my long run, 50% of my day should be carbs. And that, like, but also keep in mind, like, those numbers are higher than a normal day, right? So like, that's why this thing also kind of takes into account, oh, a high energy day, not only is it 50% of carbs, but your carbs are more than, you know, an easy day. So those are the two factors, right? But like, just have a plan and just know like what you're doing each day, and then kind of plan your food around it. You don't have to be exact, but like, don't forget to take in protein. After a hard day, right? It helps recovery. Like those are types of things. Like if you're hammering out speed intervals on a Wednesday, maybe add an extra protein that night for dinner on top of carbs, right? If you're doing a long run the night before, throw in a cup of
Yes.
rice or throw in a baked potato or just that on top of any meal. Just throw it on top, whatever. Even if it's rice, add a cup of rice on top of the rice,
It's
and then you're ready
genius.
to go.
Have you ever thought about
I know
being
this is
a,
a
a
nutritionist.
chef?
I could be a nutrition coach,
I
right?
can. It's the way some
Now
of
I'm good.
these
Yeah.
Instagram followers, influencers,
I could be a chef too. What would you
whatever
like me to do? A
you
side
write
of
in your
rice with the
bio
rice?
is what you are.
And Smith's is where we're at. But yes, a side of rice with your
I
rice
think
is
that's
always a
fine.
great option. But yeah, I mean, it definitely feels uncomfortable sometimes to feel like you need to eat this much. And we're talking mostly, we're absolutely talking all the time at marathon the most, right? Because of what you're doing, but like
Yeah.
anytime, like you were
Carb
also don't
loading
forget,
for
like,
a half marathon as well.
yeah, it's a thing. It's actually important. I mean, and like just don't forget this last piece, which is, when you sometimes feel off on day-to-day
Mm.
basis. Like, yes, you can obviously that if you do a speed workout and you hammered out some hard intervals on a Wednesday, your Thursday run may feel really hard. Like it may feel slow, you may feel like you're off. Right. But if you're taking easy day after easy day and you just feel off randomly, like on a random Tuesday and a random Wednesday, and then Thursday you feel great, and Friday, like maybe just think about, how am I feeling my body? Is that factoring into my energy availability on a Thursday run, on a Friday run? Because I'm treating it, it's 2 easy days until my long run. So I'm just gonna not be as serious about my fueling. There's a reason sometimes you feel off from day to
Mm-hmm.
day. And it has to do with, obviously there's many factors. We're not just gonna say it's only eating, sleep, other things. But like if you want to take a look, sometimes when we start diving into why we feel the way we do, think about how much you're fueling and maybe just one day just take it down and go, how much did I
Yep.
really take in? When I finally did that once, I noticed how little protein I took in and what I needed, because unless I'm eating an entire steak, I was struggling to hit my protein numbers versus like, I thought I was so there and I was like, I am not
Mm.
even close. So it really gave me an idea of like what to add more of, and trail mix and other things became like a thing that just I would eat a lot of nuts. I would eat a lot of other things to get protein up, but it was just something I started focusing on more when I realized how far off I really was on just a
Yeah.
normal day.
I think that if you're listening to this and you are somebody who has an eating disorder history or disordered eating thoughts and behaviors, what Nick just said may sound challenging for you because a big part of eating disorders is tracking. And I encourage you to do either one of two things or both things. Make sure you are working with a professional who can help guide you, and specifically one who is eating disorder informed. And the other thing that I like to share with my athletes, because fun fact, and a lot of you listening to this are my athletes, so sharing this, big percentage of the folks who I support as a fitness professional have this history. And so when we are trying to get them to just eat something before they work out, for example, start small and scale up in the same way that we scale up your training. Know that if you do decide to track a day in how you eat, you're not doing it out of a place of your disorder. You're doing it to shed mindfulness around what you're currently doing and how you can improve. This is a perfect opportunity for you to look at nutrition as something that is functional for your life, that will add to your life, not just add to training. And to what Nick said earlier, it's the three areas that you can generally look at, and you can add in whatever you think, Nick, that if you feel like garbage day in and day out in your training, are the load that you're putting on your body. Are you going too hard too often, or too much too often? How are you sleeping? And what are you putting in your body? So, did I miss anything? I feel like those are the three main. That's it.
Those are the
That's
big
it.
ones.
You don't have to step foot in an ice plunge. And if you can hit those three, you will feel elite.
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff. And so like, do some of that. Like, it's so easy to, what we do as runners, what we do as athletes is like, oh, well, I'm not fit anymore. I've lost all my fitness. Instead of like just taking a little bit to problem solve, to go, hey, am I fueling enough? Hey, am I getting enough sleep? Hey, am I
Mm-hmm.
eating enough? Right? Hey, am I taking my easy days easy? Right? Am I not running marathon pace on every easy day? Those are little things, right? And so instead of just thinking you've lost all your fitness on one random Tuesday in the ninth week of a training block, maybe there's more going on, right? And so again, the whole idea is we're training for a long period of time. And yes, you can have a day or two where things don't go right, where life hits us hard and we underfuel or get less sleep or something. But we don't want long periods of that. And we don't want it to become most of our training block, because we're trying to get through the entire
Mm-hmm.
thing. The idea is, as we're putting, gaining fitness week after week, we want to be able to support our bodies to get through. So when we do, we gain all the fitness and bring it to our race, as opposed to break down when we need it the most, right? This is important stuff. Like, fueling your body is just, we're athletes. You're chasing a goal. You're excited. You're doing something athletic. Fuel is part of the sport. Fuel is part of your life. Fuel is part of your athletic journey, right?
Speak on that. And I think that the next point that I just wanted to share is that feeling uncomfortable, feeling fluffy, feeling feelings about your body changing and having shit body image days is also normal. You don't magically turn into this person who's like, I don't mind that my body has changed. I can handle this. No, it takes time. And it also takes for you to kind of see how you feel and how you perform better when you are nourishing yourself, in order to be convinced that it's worth you continuing to do. That takes time.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone. I a lot of my running clothes I bought a lot in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and then COVID hit and I gained a bunch of weight and all my clothes are not starting to fit. So I'm going to finally do the thing I should have done and go on retail therapy and buy new running clothes that fit me. And then that's my, it's accepting. It's not cheap, obviously, because running clothes are, anyway, but it is me accepting that, hey, this is my body now and it's fine, and I'm going to support it with the things because it's
Yes.
changed. And yes, instead of being like, oh, I don't like the way it looks, so I'm just gonna wear these uncomfortable clothes that
Mm-hmm.
don't fit because it makes me feel like I'm back in 2018 or 2019. So that's been something for me that's been hard, but I'm doing it. So also tell me what brands to buy, because I don't know what to buy anymore. Anyway, but yes, it makes sense and it is hard, but we all go through it.
Aligned. I think that the last point that we should talk about is, you may get comments like I shared um, one of my athlete stories earlier. Another athlete had also shared with one of her friends that she was carb loading a distance that her friend did not understand why she needed to carb load for it. And I think it's a 10-mile race. And this athlete that's her tune up race for a half marathon. She has performance goals for it. And if she didn't have performance goals for it, she's gonna do a mini carb load. And your friend doesn't have the credentials to speak on what you need to nourish your body for and what you don't. You know what your body needs, like Coach Nick was saying. And even if you didn't, now you do. You have a little bit more insight. So how do we deal with comments from others related to how we eat? I think we can deal with it in a couple of ways. First is, you don't have to deal with it. You can say, I prefer if you didn't make comments about how I'm eating. That's one way to handle it. That's a way that I've shared with others who have made comments about my plate. I've also used it as an educational opportunity when I feel like it, when I have time, right? I also will share resources from all the experts that we mentioned earlier. And
Mhm.
I think it's important to always remember your why. And your why is to be the healthiest, strongest version of yourself. And that means eating enough to take care of
It
yourself.
does. It does. And on top of that, just remember, sometimes people's comments are coming from their fear that they're doing it wrong, or like they know they're doing it wrong and they're trying to make you do less so they can feel right. Like there's lots of insecurities around people questioning, why are you taking
Projections.
gels every 20 minutes? Why are you taking a gel for a 30-minute run? Who cares? Like if you want to take a gel for a 30-minute run, go off. Like is the science saying you absolutely everyone needs to take a gel for a 30-minute run? No, but like who cares? Like don't get mad at someone because they're taking a gel for a 30-minute run. Most of the time when they do that, they're not telling you have to do for your 2-mile run, you also 3-mile run, you also take a gel. They're just doing it for themselves, right? They want it. It's okay. It doesn't change anything. When people question how much you're fueling for your long runs or why you're carrying a water bottle or
it's weird when you care that much about what somebody else is eating and drinking or not eating and not drinking. It's weird. So stop making it weird for people if you're somebody who does this. Doubtful that
there's
rare.
It's very rare that someone has taken in so much fuel in the run that they've ruined their race because they've taken 180 grams of carbs an hour and their body just couldn't handle it. Like that rarely happens. The more likely scenario is someone underfuels their race and they miss their performance goal. That happens way more than someone who took in 3 times the recommended amount, 2 times the recommended amount, and had a bad experience. So like we're gonna put our money where we need to. We're gonna put our voice, we're gonna put our energy on the thing that needs to be fixed, and not the one random time someone ate too much and ruined their race. So this is why we talk about this stuff, because people constantly are still not doing it, and there's so much talk all on the talks and the instas about keeping it skinny and staying down from don't fuel too much and don't take those gels, and we're going to fight against it because we know it works. We've seen it for ourselves and we follow
the science. We've seen it for ourselves. We've experienced it for ourselves. And there are long-term implications for not taking care of yourself. If you're afraid of breaking a bone or having a stress fracture, then you should eat more.
The only person who's going to live with your decisions is you, right? Like you could be worried someone's telling you you're fueling too much, or worried that the internet, is going to judge you for taking 4 gels instead of 3. But you have to live in this body the rest of your life. Those comments that are in there, they're going to have their own problems in their life, and they're going to live with those. But you have one body, and you should treat it right.
I think we did it. I think we did it. I think what we'll do is we may chat a little bit more about this current trend and our thoughts around that skinnytok on the Patreon,
which I don't know anything about. I don't know anything. I'm going to learn with Amanda.
We're going
to teach me. Somehow that hasn't made it to my page. Instead, I've been in Lord of the Rings talk.
You are so blessed.
Where I've been living.
I have been on Block Talk, where I am blocking all the accounts that are sharing this information. So in any event, speaking of the Patreon, make sure that you are subscribing to the Patreon. We have 2 episodes already on there. Yeah. And we'll be putting content more and more on there. Reach out to us what you want to see on there and hear on there, and we will gladly take it into consideration. Yep. We are looking forward to next week's episode already.
We are. Special guests. We're not going to spoil it.
Maybe we'll put it on the Patreon. We're doing too much on Patreon already. So in any event, thank you everyone for listening and for joining us tonight, whenever you're listening. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. You can reach out to Coach Nick and I at any time, or at between2coaches@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, loved one, and make sure that you are giving us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple. Check us out on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.